like a Hellcat.
Right, afternoon everyone. As you can see, all the parts are turned up. So we've got a nice new housing, nice new water pump, end cap, all new bolts, seal. All the seals are already on the water pump. They're all genuine MG Rover, as you can see. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start breaking this down and transferring all the pumps, the power steering pump, the tensioner pulley, and just get it all bolted up. As you can see, this one's been painted red. I'm not going to bother painting these, they're just cast alley, so they're not going to rot or rust, so I don't think there's really no point in putting any protection on there really. So yeah, I'll come back to you when it's all built up and we get onto the vehicle. all built up now. See, pump is on, alternator's on. As I said in the previous video, I was going to put it all up from underneath in one big lump, although it's going to be a little bit difficult manhandling it. We should be able to do it. Tensioner's on, the water pump is on. Now, a lot of people will put sealant around on these. There is no need to put sealant around rubber O-rings. The only thing I use to put on these O-rings is to help fitment is a little bit of antifreeze. And again, if you're dealing with things with oil, you put a little bit of oil on the O-ring. You know, this is a coolant system, you put a little bit of antifreeze on it. That's just literally just to give that little bit of lubrication so everything will slot in nicely. And it's the same with this gasket on the back here. The only thing I'm going to use to put on there when I fit it is a little bit of antifreeze. So yeah, we're just going to get on and put that on now. You don't need to see me do that. I'm just going to literally bolt it up in there and get everything all sorted, and I'll come back to you when it's all done. Alright, as you can see, it's all bolted into the engine, or onto the engine I should say. The belt is all on, one of the hoses is on, so I just got to connect to the rest of the hoses and the power steering pump, which is down there. And yeah, then we'll turn it over and see if it starts, fill out with water, and hopefully it won't be leaking anymore. So it's all back together now. A little bit of a detailed view. All the coolant is in, power steering fluid is all back in, so just need to get it started. While I was letting all the fluids settle down, cleaned up all the glue remover, all the glue off the duct tape with glue remover, and start seeing the extent of the damage now. And I fit another second-hand mirror glass, just so it's all nice. Let's see if it starts. Check the fluids. Right, so I'm just going to let that run for a few minutes, get it up to temperature, check all the levels, and then we'll come back and close the video off. Right, it's been a couple of days now since the last video clip. We've had it all up and running, got it up to temperature, all levels are fine. The trouble is, none of the fans cut in. They got up to about 118 degrees. The temperature was just over half, and the fan should have cut in about 112 degrees, but they didn't. So under further investigation. We tested the fans. As you can see, all the wiring has been pulled out. I've had these two wires here, which goes to the fans, connected to these two wires, which end up at this relay. One of the fans for the aircon connects to these two wires, which have been cut. This wire here is a permanent line that goes straight to the fan, which powers up part of this relay, and then it's earthed to switch the fan on through this wire here. But that doesn't end there really. So the plan is we're going to put all this back to standard how it should be, but we're just trying to figure out the trigger wire for the fans. As you can see, the big mess of wires. Now, I've been in contact with a guy who do these conversion looms, and he said there should be a blue and yellow wire and a slate and blue wire, but it's not tallying up to my wiring diagrams. He says that he leaves all the trigger wires and everything out of the loom for the owners to put in whatever they want to put in really, and the ones that, I guess these are the 4 wires that are leaves hanging out. Now I've got this blue wire here which tallies up to my wiring loom or wiring diagram. That should be the signal to switch the fans on from the ECU, and I've got my blue and white wire and slate and blue wire, which I believe are the triggers for the fans on the ZS loom. So if I take you over to the wiring diagrams, so I've got a wiring diagram here for the ZS and a wiring diagram here for the T16 engine. So as you can see here, I've circled fan circuit here, and U, which stands for blue, and then UY is blue and yellow, and then I've got blue and red over here, which is C coolant fans. And I've got the coolant fans over here for a 2 litre turbo engine, and we've got our blue in here, which then goes into a cooling fan relay, which then goes to a blue and slate. So that's why I'm thinking it's the blue wire and not none of the wires that he said to me are blue and yellow and the slate and blue, because there isn't any on the wiring harness. So I think he might be just got his wires crossed somewhere else. He can't really remember the conversion doing it, but he has given me some guidance which is very helpful. So yeah, we're going to put back the fan wiring how it should be from standard, and then we're going to try and the slate and blue wire on the ZS loom, we're going to try and power it up with a power probe. This one here, the slate and blue, going to try and power that up and see if we can get the fans to switch on, and if we can, then we're going to see if this blue here, if that earths and gives us a trigger wire when it gets up to temperature. So that's the story so far, and I'll come back to you when we've got it all roughly ready to go. So all this wiring's all back together again. As you can see, it's all plugged in, soldered up on the relay, how it should be from factory. So both fans. A little bit goes down there. And just sort this mess out down here. As you can see, little waterproof connector there. There's 4 wires going into some bullet connectors that was hidden under some tape, and we found the 2 wires for the fan control as well from the ECU. So they're all where they need to be. So I just need to put the ECU back on, put the intercooler back on, and then run it up. So just for reference, that blue wire was for the tacho or rev counter. You've got fuel pump 1, ECU positive, and oil pressure light for the dash. And then we've got 2, a yellow and blue and a slate and blue for your fan control. One's for the AC, low speed, and one's for the coolant, high speed. And we tested the wires through the ZS loom. Just put an earth down there to power them up, and then we've got a high and a low there as well. So we just matched them up with the ones on the T16 loom. So hopefully it's all good. Alright, we've got it all back together now. Everything all plugged up. I have put a plug in. I don't know if you can see that. Just down there, that black one, the yellow band on it, with them wires going into it. Now I'm not 100% happy with that. It just seems really loose and horrible. That's all I had kicking around, a little 6-pin plug. So later on I'm going to probably change it over for douche connector, whatever they're called. But yeah, everything's all back in, intercooler's all back on, all the wiring's all done. So yeah, we're just going to run it up, get up to temperature, and see if the fan kicks in. Oh, rev counter's working as well. That's handy. Oh, that's just dropped off again. I don't know why that is. Again, something we're going to have to investigate later on. But let's just make sure the fans kick in first, and I'll come back to you when that's all happened. Well, it's getting up to temperature now. So we're just waiting for these fans to kick in. As soon as they do, I'll come back to you and call it a day, really. As you can see, the fans have now cut in on low speed, so I'm quite happy that they're working as they should be. Now, I don't think I'm going to cut it at high speed with it just idling here in the workshop. So I think we'll wait for a road test on that one when we get the rest of the car up and sorted to make sure. But I'm quite happy if they're working on low speed, they're going to work on high speed. So I think that will do it for this video, and hopefully we're back with the next one and we'll be sorting out the brakes.